So what a weekend for the Oklahoma Sooners. On top of having your spring game, which gave OU fans everywhere their first glimpse as to what the 2023 Sooners could look like, OU exits the weekend picking up a big-time commit from four-star safety in the state of Texas, Jaydan Hardy. Today, we need to break it all down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Were you pleased with what you saw during the spring game? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. And we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And we're going to start with the recruiting addition Oklahoma got, because they add commit number 5 to the class of 2024. This time, a very talented, very coveted player. As four-star safety out the state of Texas, Jaydan Hardy commits to the Oklahoma Sooners over several other suitors. And when I look at Jaydan Hardy, there's a few things that stand out to me. First and foremost, when you turn on the film, there's a lot to like. He's active in coverage. He's active in run stuffing. He does not mind coming up and delivering hits. And from a safety, that's exactly what you want to see. On top of that, one of the things I find compelling about this is what it means for the pipelines for the Oklahoma Sooners and their ability to recruit the state of Texas. Because OU consistently recruits the state of Texas very well. But with every win you get, you're just strengthening the relationships you have in that area. And OU has been real good at getting prospects from the North Texas area. Brandon Hall has been on a streak winning safety battles, and Jay Valai has got great ties to the North Texas region, which allows Oklahoma to come into some of these rooms and feel real good about their chances to land a four-star blue chip guy. Because Jaydan Hardy ranks as a top 200 player regardless of position in all of high school football, specifically coming in at number 162, a top 15 safety, and a top 30 player in the state of Texas. So this is a big-time win for the Oklahoma Sooners recruiting class. What does it mean? Well, it puts them inside the top 30 at number 28 with nothing but time and opportunity in front of you to go. It is only April. It is way too early to start worrying about recruiting in the class of 2024, but already you feel good about where you're at. There are reports of Oklahoma being in good positions for several other top-tier prospects. Brent Venables and this staff are able to cultivate and maintain relationships with the best of them, and at the end of the day, that's a massive thing whenever we talk about recruiting, is the relationships you can cultivate. And being able to maintain those relationships makes you feel safer about your ability to convert that into a commitment. But now let's talk about maintaining your safety online. Did you know that in 2022, the United States had its second worst year ever in terms of data compromises? And not only was it the second worst year in terms of data compromises, but there was a substantial amount of capital loss, coming in at $10.2 billion in 2022 alone, which is exactly why I'm so excited to talk with you all about today's sponsor, Aura. Anybody can find anything online, including your name, address, phone number, or even your relatives' information. And all of this is possible because data brokers selling your information to scammers, telemarketers, robocallers, or anybody that wants to learn more about you. But this is exactly where Aura comes in. Aura will help you identify these data brokers and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and they will even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you use the link shown on screen and found in the description, Aura will hook it up with 2 free weeks so that you can see just how many people are after your data. Plus, Aura monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data break and exposed on the dark web, and will give you recommendations on what to do. Aura has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. It truly is the one-stop shop for user protections. Plus, they offer different bundles so that you can either take care of yourself or the whole family at an awesome rate. So let Aura keep you safe. Go to the link in my description to claim your 2 free week trial and start protecting yourself online. Once again, go to aura.com/ATTS to start protecting yourself online with a 2-week free trial, link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. And now let's talk the spring game, and where do we want to start? I just got done watching it. Right as I stopped watching it, hit record on this. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, because there's a few points I have fresh on my mind that I would like to get to. And let's start with what really stood out to me in a positive way for the offense. First and foremost, the tight end room. Austin Stogner coming back, I think that's a super compelling factor for Oklahoma, and I haven't hid that point. Ever since he announced he was returning to the Sooners, I've been forthright that I thought that was a big win. But even some of the tight ends you have outside of Austin Stogner were getting involved, and I think that's good. This is an area we talked about before the spring game, where I was super intrigued as to what the tight end position would look like for the Sooners. Not to say I didn't have faith, but it's just a point at what Willis did very well. He was a guy that you could rely on getting open, and he was also a guy that understood protection. So that's something that was awesome to see, that there were multiple guys Oklahoma was utilizing, getting play, getting involved. If you're an OU fan, that's got to feel good. That's got to give you faith. We talk about all the time how important tight ends are in modern offense, and you have a few guys that you have faith in. The running back room is also a room that really stood out to me. And as much as I was excited to see Austin Stogner get involved, the running back room on offense probably stood out the most to me, because there are several guys that can play winning football. And on top of that, two guys that you have a lot of faith in weren't available on the day, in Barnes and Marcus Major. Even then, Sawchuk showed his ability. Tawee Walker really showed his ability. Right before I got on here, I was on with Jay from Unfair Sports. We were breaking down some plays from Oklahoma's spring game that really stood out to me, and one such play, they're utilizing Tawee Walker out the slot. And I have said this time and time again whenever we've talked about Jeff Lebby and the running backs Oklahoma could deploy. I've always said a running back with the versatility to be active in the running game and the passing game is going to unlock another level to this offense that ultimately Jeff Lebby wants to utilize. So seeing Walker get that active in so many different facets of the game, that was really cool to see. Super excited to see what the future holds for him and the running back room as a whole. And for the running back room to operate at peak efficiency, so too does the offensive line have to operate at peak efficiency. And there were areas where the offensive line was generating big holes, but now it's about doing it consistently. And look, it's the spring. There are some guys who are injured, so you don't have a cohesive look at to what your starting five could look like. So right now, it's all about developing the depth. Luckily for the Oklahoma Sooners, you have Bill Bedenbaugh as your offensive line coach. I've said this time and time again. If you're asking me what position I'm most interested in for Oklahoma's offensive line, it's the center position. Whether or not that's going to be a real battle for that center position, that's what I'm keyed in on. But outside of that, I think being able to develop multiple names to play multiple different positions is good. Walter Rouse wasn't really a go coming off of the shoulder injury. Once he gets in there, you like his ability to start. So that's what I mean when I say you like where your offensive line was able to generate some holes. You want some more consistency, but at the same time, it's only spring, and this isn't a great look at the unit you could field. Super interested to see what happens moving forward with the offensive line. But once again, every time we talk about this, we have got to bring up the point about Bill Bedenbaugh, that this is a guy that gets it right far more often than he gets it wrong, so you have faith that he's going to be able to get this situated. The quarterback room and the wide receiver room are the two last areas we need to talk about on the offense, and we will start with the wide receivers. Because if you've been around the channel, I've talked extensively that was an area I was super intrigued to watch. I know Jalil Farouk is there, and he's a guy that I think is going to get a lot of play in this offense, and why is how Lebby utilizes him. For instance, the touchdown pass Farouk caught was a beautiful play design where they're faking the screen, engaging Farouk in the initial block, having the pump go out, and then Farouk is disengaging and releasing. This is something Steve Sarkisian ran with Devontae Smith a lot, and he killed defenses with it. To see Jeff Lebby use that with Jalil Farouk, it just kind of goes back to what I said last year, that when I was breaking down Oklahoma's film last year, it was obvious that Jeff Lebby loves the versatility of Jalil Farouk, and they use him as a chess piece. The good news is that can create openings for other wide receivers on the roster. You know Drake Stoops is as reliable as it gets. But who's going to make a name for themselves outside of that? Anthony had some big-time plays, but then you had other guys that you have got to feel excited about. Where Oklahoma goes on the wide receiver room is going to be very interesting. I know there's some crystal balls inserted in favor of Brennan Thompson, and I am of the belief that if there are wide receivers available in the transfer portal that you believe can come in and help you create opportunities, that's what you need to go and pursue. Because for me, the name of the game for Oklahoma's offense in 2023, what they need to improve upon coming off of the 2022 season, taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented. But the double-edged sword about that, you have got to be able to create opportunities to be able to take advantage of them. If you can't create the opportunity, there's nothing to take advantage of. And Oklahoma needs the ability to have wide receivers that can create opportunities for the quarterback play. So the crystal ball inserted for Brennan Thompson, I would not be shocked at all if Oklahoma pulled the trigger on Thompson, because I think he could be a real asset to this wide receiver room. Also important to note, Petaway isn't on campus yet. So I don't say any of this to say I don't think Oklahoma's wide receiver room has talent. I think they have talent. They just don't have that real great experience yet outside of Farouk, outside of Freeman, and outside of Drake Stoops. Super interested to see what happens, though, because the talent is there, and I'm intrigued to see what moves they make in the transfer portal. And finally, the last position on offense we need to talk about before we move over to the defensive side of the ball is the quarterback. And this takes me back to something I just said. The one thing Oklahoma has got to improve upon offensively from 2022 to 2023. Take advantage of the opportunities as they're presented. During the first quarter of this spring game, I thought there were several instances where opportunities presented themselves and the offense failed to capitalize. I think the play that perfectly exemplifies this is the Jayden Gibson drop, where Dylan Gabriel hit Jayden Gibson, and unfortunately he could not come up with the reception. And yes, while Jayden Gibson has got to come up with that reception, if the ball hits you in your hands as a wide receiver, you need to come up with it for your quarterback. If you lead Jayden Gibson, let him run through the ball, he could still be running if he caught it. That was an easy 6 points because there was nobody in front of him. That ball has got to be led, and instead, Jayden Gibson had to break stride, turn, and unfortunately couldn't come up with the reception. Once again, the ball should have been caught regardless, but that's the difference of a first down at best as compared to a touchdown. And 6 points matter. And those are the times where I thought, man, the opportunities are presenting themselves and they need to take advantage. Now, luckily, that kind of fixed itself as the game went on. Once they got into the stride of things, that kind of sorted itself out. But I am interested in seeing that growth from the Oklahoma offense as a whole. So, ending it on the Oklahoma offense, what stood out to me, the running back play is going to be a massive catalyst for this offense. One thing we've talked about is Oklahoma's inability to convert third downs, and that really stems back to their inability to generate positive plays on first downs. Having running backs in the manner you do, with the depth you have, allows you to extend drives, or at least in theory allows you to extend drives, and I do find that to be a very compelling factor. But now for the moment you've all been waiting for, let's talk the defense. And luckily, there was a lot to talk about for the defense, and in a good way. First and foremost, let's talk about some players that stood out like a sore thumb in a good way, and one. Dasan McCullough. We've talked about it time and time again that guy is so talented, but it was awesome to see him on the football field, and especially learning in the cheetah position. He showed you why this Oklahoma staff was bullish on going and pursuing him, and why they think he could be a big piece to this defense. Personally, he already stood out, and he is still learning. The future is very bright for him. He is going to be one of the mainstays on this defense if he remains healthy and if he continues to progress. I thought he had a real solid day, and I'm super excited to see what the future holds. But McCullough was not the only new addition that stood out to me. In fact, there were several guys that Oklahoma got out the transfer portal that I thought were doing real good work for them defensively. Rondell Bothroyd was putting in work, and then Reggie Pearson on the back end was putting in work. If you're a fan of the Oklahoma Sooners, after watching that, you have got to feel better about your defense's ability to take a step forward, or a few steps forward, during the 2023 season as compared to the 2022 season. First and foremost, I think that's only natural. Your guys have a better understanding of scheme, they have a better understanding of what's asked of them, and now they can take the lessons they've had during practice and apply it because they've had it during games. They've had it during live action. Now everything is clicking more. And two, I do think you got some really compelling pieces out the transfer portal that are already coming in and making their presence known. So for Oklahoma's defense, Dasan McCullough stood out. Reggie Pearson stood out. And the linebacker play, I thought I noticed several different guys who can play winning football at the linebacker position. So the linebacker battle for the Oklahoma Sooners is going to be a lot of fun. Kip Lewis was someone I highlighted out there making plays. Danny Stutzman was flying around, playing with more confidence. Jaron Kanik was playing with more confidence. Kobe McKenzie was out there playing with confidence. No matter where you looked, I thought the linebackers as a whole played with a greater understanding of the defense, and that's exactly what you want to see. Remember, this is only a spring game. What you really want to see is an understanding of the scheme presented in front of them, and I thought OU's linebackers displayed a better understanding of the scheme and more confidence than they did during the course of the 2022 season. And up front, for the Oklahoma Sooners, there's still work to be done there, but you have got to be impressed with some of the transfers, what they are bringing to the table up front. Bothroyd was disruptive. You have Lacey, who is disruptive. There are several names who I'm going to be interested to see what they're able to do on the interior of that defensive line. Now, make no mistake, if you're asking me my biggest need for Oklahoma in the 2024 recruiting class, go heavy on that interior defensive line. But if you look at the way the Sooners are recruiting, that's exactly what they're doing. So they're cognizant of their need, but That being said, when we're looking at what you have, the transfer portal additions are coming in there, they're making waves, and they're competing for jobs, and at the end of the day, that's what you want. If you're going to bring someone in from the transfer portal, you want them to be able to compete immediately, and I'm super intrigued to see how this defense continues progressing. But the one thing I know OU fans have to be pleased with is that the defense was playing with a confidence that they were not playing with during the season. And the last area we'll discuss before we get out of here on the defense is that secondary. And the first thing you had to notice is how many guys they were rotating in and out, and that's good. You need the depth at the secondary position, especially with modern offenses. You're in dime more than ever, and the ability Oklahoma has had to be able to develop some more depth at the cornerback position, especially the safety. And I know everybody's going to want to talk about true freshman Peyton Bowen and the great interception he had. And look, to be a true freshman coming in when you should still be in high school, to have that ball tracking ability to make that play, I thought was really impressive. The fact that he was able to locate the ball, stay located on the ball, and ultimately convert the interception, that's exactly what you want to see. But there's a healthy battle between many people as to who are going to be the guys in the secondary. Josiah Wagner is a guy that this staff has been bullish on, and it was good to see him out there getting active in multiple facets of the game. But we talked about Reggie Pearson earlier, a guy that's new to the Sooners locker room, but getting acclimated both in the running game, the passing game. I'm super interested as to what this Oklahoma defense is going to look like. If they're able to generate pressure up front, that's going to alleviate pressure on the secondary and will allow them to flourish. So this is an area I'm super keyed in on and super interested in. So I'm super interested to see what strides Oklahoma takes offensively and defensively between now and the first game. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.